I'm going to record this particular recording will be shared with each one of you via YouTube, and definitely we are going to, this is just for consent that I have started recording. Okay guys, so if I talk about like what is cloud computing, so is there anyone who can help me with that? What is cloud computing? Yes guys, anyone? What is cloud computing? As we all are gathered here just to discuss about and to learn about cloud computing, so I would like to understand what is cloud computing.
It's like complete migration of data center into the cloud. Like we are no more using the data centers for the security purpose, for the cost saving, and for the variety of services what we are getting in cloud. That's why we are moving to cloud.
Okay, fantastic. Good to know that. Very good. Okay, so if we are not using data center, then where the particular data is being stored?
Like not in office premises because of the security and some other concerns. But yes, the data centers are being used in Amazon or any other cloud provider.
Okay, great. Good to know. Fine. So then why people are not using traditional data center? Because in that particular case, what happens here is like they can just purchase server, maybe 5, 10, or maybe 100 servers they can purchase and they can run them for lifetime. Then why does it require that they are paying, like multiple organizations, even me and like other organizations are paying on monthly basis, like recurring payment they are making to like cloud service providers?
This is pay as you go, pay as you based on the usage. Suppose if you have a on premises, if you don't want the server by the demand, if the demand is decreased, increased, we cannot control in on premises, but in cloud you can control it.
Okay, that is very good. Good to know that. Fine. So now what else we are going to discuss here? So let us say, let me give you a scenario, because we are just discussing here the requirement of cloud computing. So we should be having the idea about that, why it is required, what is the need of it. For example, you are hired within a new organization and that organization wants you to set up a complete data center for them. And rather than calling it a data center, they want you to host a website. Then what all component will you require in order to host a website? For example, I have a plan to host a website with the name of www.burger.com, or let us say, let us keep it anything, abc.com, right? Now, what all components would you ask your company owner to provide you in order to host a website? Uma.
Yeah, we need a server to host the. And
okay. Let us write it down, like server
and the softwares like a JBoss or Tomcat, whatever the requirement for the
server software, okay,
and the code to deploy,
okay,
and resource to deploy for that one.
Resources like as part of server, like you would need CPU,
yeah,
and RAM, and maybe network.
Yeah.
Okay, let us not call it network, let us call it internet. Okay, like we need to discuss here ISP, internet service provider. Okay, what else? Obviously, in order to store data, you would need hard disk device. What else?
Domain name.
Domain name to be registered, a domain name.
Great, fantastic, good to know that.
So we need a web server as well.
Domain name, okay. Then after we need web server. Okay, so that can be considered as part of software. So even web server is also software only, right?
Yep.
Okay, so then we need like database. So when we talk about database, so in that case, databases could be either a paid version of it or either a free version of it. If we go with MS SQL, that will be paid. If we go with MySQL, that will be free. If we go with Oracle, like for Enterprise Edition, that will be paid. If we go with like PSQL, like PostgreSQL, that will be free. right?
Yeah, those are all will come under software. So
Yes, those all will come under software, but these are different type of software. Okay, what else you would need?
Load balancer.
Great. Okay, load balancer we would need. Great. Then
Firewalls, router,
okay, great. Let me type these down. Firewall and
router,
obviously then switch as well.
switch as well, rack,
Great. Right.
and
Gateway.
a dedicated room for
Gateway
this.
is a logical concept which can be covered either in the router or firewall, wherever we want.
depends on the website certificates.
Okay, so certificates, great. Okay, what else?
Image of the instance.
Okay, so like ISO we can define here. Like OS ISO, operating system ISO image, right?
And resource.
So what
Block
resource?
storage.
Storage we have already defined here like as part of HDD.
Yeah.
Air conditioning.
A separate
Okay.
room,
Because of this hot weather, definitely we need AC,
Power supply.
power supply.
And
when
space.
when
Space.
when we talk about firewall, so we do not need only like firewall, we need physical security. Why did you let us say, what if we have set up our data center properly with all the components like data center, rack, space, OS, everything is working up and running fine. Someone comes, picks the server up and takes away from data center. Then what would happen? Website will go down. Right? We need physical security as well. What else?
Yeah, we need one laptop also to do all those.
Okay, let us write it down. Laptop will definitely be required in order to do configuration on server side. Yes, you are right.
We need VPC, availability zone.
Okay, so when we are talking about like setting up data center from scratch, so VPC is a concept of cloud computing environment. Whether you go inside your AWS, Google Cloud, Azure, wherever you go, VPC is a logical concept of cloud computing environment. So let us not discuss that right now, because right now we are trying to set up our own data center.
You need a space somewhere the
Okay,
rental building.
like data center.
Availability zone.
No, it won't come.
Then we need DR, disaster recovery site, like whatever component we have placed in our primary data center.
Yeah.
So same thing will be set up in DR as well, like disaster recovery site. Moreover, there are two types of data center, FDR and NDR. First of all, we need to set up far DR, then near DR. DR means disaster recovery.
Disaster.
FDR stands for far disaster recovery center, NDR means near disaster recovery. Why do we need three? So if you are working with any organization where you are dealing with customer information or maybe any sort of financial transaction that are taking place in that data center, then you need to have information of that customer at least at 2 to 3 places. So these data centers are known as availability zones. For your information, I would like to bring this to your notice. These sort of like data centers are known as availability zone, because if we talk about cloud computing environment, then one availability zone is equal to one data center. Right, guys? Okay. So if we talk, okay, fine. Now, guys, what are the challenges here? First of all, when we talk about server, so how many server do you need? Let us say the particular customer owner says that first of all, for first 1 month, we shall be getting maybe 1,000 requests per day. At the time of initial website hosting, 1,000 requests per day would be coming. So what would be size of server? And how many number of servers would you need? So the particular stuff, which is known as like how much hardware do we need to procure? That becomes a really complicated thing. Why it is so? Let us say if we purchase a server with 32 CPU and let us say 64 GB of RAM, it could be possible that first 6 months we shall not be utilizing that particular computer or that particular server up to full extent. It means we are already investing, or we have already invested more than required, right? The data or the particular capacity, what actually we wanted to have, we have purchased a lot more than that. Second thing, what if after 6 months of running your data center, you feel that the website is not working anymore, we need to dump off the project? Then who will purchase this server? The servers which you have already purchased, these will be of no use in that particular case. Moreover, the particular term is known as capacity planning. That is really hard to do if we are working with data center. For example, the idea here was that we want to initiate with 1,000 requests per day. That was the expectation of sales and maybe the business team. But what happened? The particular product went really well. Whatever items you were trying to sell, so those are selling like a hotcake, and you are getting a lot of traffic. For example, right now the traffic here is 1 lakh requests per day are coming. So the particular server which you guys decided is not capable enough to handle the particular request. Rather than writing it per day, let us say per minute, right? So if 1 lakh requests per minute are coming, so the particular server which you procured, that will not be able to handle it. Now, what would happen in that particular case? You will have to purchase new server. So guys, do you really feel that purchasing servers is really easy? Obviously not. First of all, if you have your own organization, even there is no approval required, no PO, no PR is raised for the same, then even you will take number of days in order to purchase a server from market. Then after you will deploy that server, you will mount that server into rack. Then after you will have to do some network connectivity. You will have to perform some logical operations there. You will install software. You will create a cluster out of it. So a lot of operations you guys will have to perform just in order to ensure that one new server has been added to the same rack data center. Power supply is ensured for it. That is mounted properly. In fact, you will have to ensure maybe the particular racks, these are not going to impact on the server. You have enough storage capacity, maybe the particular where you would like to place the logs of all the transactions, right? Load balancer is working properly, the capacity of load balancer, everything. And then what would happen next? For example, the ISP, internet service provider, that was providing you services to serve you over internet. What if that goes down? Then you will need to have another option of ISP, like second ISP. If one ISP goes down, then you will have to switch over to new ISP, or you will have to pay to 2 ISPs in parallel. Why it is so? If one internet service provider does not work well, you will have to switch to second one, because you cannot say that my internet is not working. So guys, you must have heard a very common problem when we are working in our offices, that internet is not working. So is that the particular case which happens with server side as well within data centers? What if data center service provider says that my internet is not working? We shall not be able to serve you in terms of connectivity over internet to your server. How would that sound? Obviously, definitely that is going to make a lot of huge impact over your customers and your product as well, right guys? So first of all, what we are trying to discuss here is that is the particular like capacity management, capacity planning, like how much data do we need to have, moreover how many requests are going to come, moreover what sort of hardware capacity we need to purchase. Definitely one server will not suffice here. Why it is so? If that one server goes down, maybe power plug is unplugged, the power cable is unplugged, maybe some person was doing some sort of housekeeping activities with the data center, and the person unwantedly or maybe unknowingly unplugged the cable, and right now person has locked the data center and took the key with him, because the person is responsible to open and close the gate of data center where servers are kept, right? In fact, this activity, like in fact within my last organization, we noticed this, that one server's power cable was unplugged by a particular cleaner. That person was doing some housekeeping activity there, and person made a mess. Fortunately, the servers belong to development environment only, so only development environment was hampered. Moreover, what happened? we had some sort of inverters and some sort of power backup there. Most of time, either power backup was not there, some inverter used to run, or some generator was there. But what happened that specific day, the generator did not work properly, right? And the particular power failure happened within the data center, the entire development environment. And that is the case of when like we entered into COVID situation, like last year, right? So we were not able to access that data center for 2 days. So all the development process was stopped. So why I'm telling you all these things, why we are discussing this? Because first of all, the particular power, like capacity planning. Second thing here is what about the power management and other stuff. So we have to be very, very careful. Now, let us say initially you started with 1 CPU and 1 GB of RAM. You will have to procure new servers. Then after, if that is not in use, so you will have to keep waiting that yes, request would come on server, and then we will start consuming the resources, whatever we have. Same thing goes with hardware devices. Let us say if a lot of data is being produced by your server, let us say the size of your database is increasing, then what would happen? You will have to procure new hardware devices. You will have to allocate them. You will have to format, access on the server, everything will have to perform. So it may take days, but what would happen? Let us say if there is no space left on your servers. That is going to be a challenge here. Once again, because of lack of storage, you cannot remove old logs because of some compliances and the particular term which we use like HIPAA or maybe like PCI DSS compliant if you are. So you shall not be able to remove old log data. You will be in trouble because you do not have the particular data, like you do not have space where you can store new logs, or the particular time which you are going to take till the time your services will be down. So these are the particular challenges which we usually have in case of setting up data center. And the more critical thing which I'm going to define here is, so guys, someone told you about certificate here. So guys, not only this certificate, like which is SSL. So guys, ISO, PCI DSS, then after SOC 1, SOC 2, SOC 3, and multiple other, let us say these are going to be ISO 27001. So these are different type of certifications which certifies that yes, you are able to handle customers' data. Because see guys, you might have seen multiple websites. Sometimes this option comes that you can save your credit card information on the server. For example, you are purchasing something from Amazon, maybe from Flipkart, or maybe from any other like website. So what happens? They may ask you to store your data or your details with them. Maybe your credit card details, they would like you to let them save, right? And you give your consent. But multiple websites are there which are not like PCI DSS and HIPAA compliant, or maybe SOC 1, SOC 2, SOC 3, maybe ISO 20001. These are the standard of the particular data center certification. Like what sort of security do they have? Is it practically possible that someone enters into a data center room, plugs in a particular pen drive, copies all the data from the server which related to database or maybe application code and others? What would happen in that case? It means there will be a breach of customer data privacy. Right, guys? So just to avoid all these things, because whenever we talk about cloud computing environment, so cloud computing environment enables us with all the things. Apart from these certificates, we need to have like environment certificate. In an environment certificate, we need to have. Now, what does it mean, environment certificate? So guys, whenever we are in process to set up a data center, so from like municipal corporation, we need to get a certificate to run data center there, that you will have to define, you will have to give in writing that how much power consumption you will be doing within this data center. Second thing, you'll have to define that how much electricity will you be consuming, how much solar energy will you be using, and this sort of information you have to provide. This type of certifications are really hard to get. That is why in order to run a couple of servers, people prefer to go on cloud computing environment. Moreover, the particular capacity planning is really, really easy. Today you have one server, you want to have one more for testing, maybe then definitely it will take a couple of clicks only. You guys will be having one another server up and running in your environment. Whatever software you want, you can deploy. Those servers provide you internet connectivity seamlessly. These are highly scalable. and you have a lot of flexibility in order to reduce or increase like hardware capacity within your data center. Moreover, you need not to worry about this particular DR, FDR, NDR, because whenever and wherever AWS has launches, AWS has like infrastructure available. The same thing goes with Azure and Google Cloud as well. Wherever they have their data center, so at least 3 different data center they have. And when we talk about 3 different data center, it means they have different geographical region. Let us say first data center is in Gurgaon, second one is in Pune, third one is in Hyderabad, or maybe it is in Mumbai or Pune or Hyderabad. So 3 different geographical region AWS, Azure or Google Cloud have selected in order to run their data center. Are we clear with that thing, guys? Any questions so far? That why we are discussing this? Guys, any questions so far?
No.
Great. So guys, when we are talking about all these things, then what comes here next? So guys, we need to understand that these are the particular requirements just to host a small website, right? Wherein this will take months to set up things. Maybe we will have to have an agreement with ISP. We will have to have an agreement with the particular vendor, maybe where we are going to purchase server from. Then after we will have to go for like renewal of the particular hardware, like server hardware. We will have to ensure that the particular life cycle support is not getting to end of life. All the licenses which we have, these are not getting expired and all. So these sort of things, definitely guys, we will have to ensure that yes, these are all up to date. Wherein whenever we have we create an account on AWS, so by default, AWS provides you like white papers. White papers are known as whatever sort of certificates they have already published to their customers. If they want, they can raise a ticket to AWS, and whatever sort of documentation do you need from their side. For example, it could be possible that someone from your organization may be looking for some sort of like, yes, please go ahead. There is some question. Any question, guys? Someone raise a hand. Okay, the silence means no. Great. So guys, when we are talking cloud computing environment, so cloud computing provides, now when we are done with the requirement, so cloud computing is an interface. First of all, guys, let us try to understand what is interface. If you are able to see my screen, so this screen is known as interface, where we can interact with some other devices, where we can interact with some other piece of software, right? That is known as interface. So an interface like this, where all the resources, what are the resources like CPU, hard disk, internet, software, code, domain name, load balancer, physical hardware, security, rack, certificates, environment certificate, ISO of operating system, power supply, AC. Laptop will not be provided there because definitely we have to use our own laptop. Multiple data centers are available there, right? So, and yes, guys, but someone has any question? I do not know the name.
So I have a question here.
Please go ahead.
So these these sort of things that we can also achieve through VMware as well, right? On-premise environment. So what is the need for us to move to the cloud computing? Because here also we are paying for the services and whatever the certificates and hardware databases, we are also paying for that. So what is the main difference between the on-premise environment and the cloud?
Yes. So I was coming on to that particular part only. In fact, we have already discussed that a little more. So let us say you are in process to set up new organization. You do not have a proper understanding that how much capacity would be required, right? Then after, you will have to, sometime what happens that when an initial organization is there, so most of the particular founder of those organizations, they have to push their money in order to set up the particular infrastructure. Second thing, if they put all the money in order to set up a data center, then they shall not have enough amount in order to scale their business. because if you see like servers, rack, hardware, switches, firewall, so it will cost a lot. If they put their entire amount for setting up a data center for which they do not know like how much traffic they are expecting at the beginning of the particular that you can call that the particular business, so they do not have proper idea about this so far, and they have invested. And why will they have to invest? Because they do not know, and they will not be able to let others know about their product, because until and unless the particular product is browsable or is accessible over internet, then how will they be able to provide some sort of demos? Like
Okay,
what will
so
they say to their customer? So that is why, in order to begin with very small investment, and in order to run properly with all the, let us say, if we go with firewall, like let us say we are going to go for a cheaper firewall, just to save some amount, right? Later on, we realize that the particular firewall which we have purchased, that does not provide that layer of security, or maybe that level of security. The features which we were looking for, maybe we wanted to utilize this firewall as a VPN endpoint. Firewall does not provide that feature, right? So if we do not get those sort of features, once again, we will have to replace the firewall. This firewall will not be sold back. So in order, let us say if there is a like very emerging organization, some startups are there, and if you see within India itself, there are like thousands and lakhs of new startups which are coming in, and these are running on cloud computing only. Why it is so? Because they can pay maybe 10,000 rupees a month, or maybe 20,000 rupees a month, in order to run their website over internet. But they really do not want to set up their own data center to host their website when it is in baby state. That is why cloud computing is really useful. I would not say that only AWS is doing that, but yes, it could be DigitalOcean, it could be Google Cloud, Azure, IBM, Oracle, maybe multiple cloud platforms are there. But end of the day, that why we are going with AWS only? Because the particular interface of AWS is really clean. The particular services which we are going to learn are really easy to implement. Then after, once we understand the concept, then we can switch from one cloud platform to another very, very easily. That is why we are talking about here AWS. Are we clear with the requirement, Shubh?
yes, it's good. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Okay, so now when we talk about cloud computing, so in a nutshell, if someone is going to ask you during intro, okay, what is cloud computing?
I think someone not able to hear you and they are chatting. They are saying in the chat.
Yes, did we start it? I am unable to hear anything. So, buddy, I would request you to please rejoin, because I guess that like rest of guys are able to hear. Guys, can you hear me properly?
Yes.
We are here.
Okay,
We can.
Yes.
great, great. Thank you. Thank you so very much for your confirmation. So I would request the person to rejoin. Okay, not a problem. So guys, if someone is going to say, okay, what is cloud computing? So now we need to say that cloud computing is an interface like this, where we get all the resources on demand to keep our infrastructure up and running. And now what is our infrastructure? That is just a website, right? An interface where we get all the resources available on demand to keep our infrastructure up and running. That is known as cloud computing. Just if I would have given this sort of definition, that cloud computing is an interface where we get all the resources to keep our infrastructure up and running on demand, that could not suffice the solution. That could not suffice the answer. Why it is so? Because what all component we are talking about, what all challenges are there, we need to understand the background first, right guys? So that sort of thing, considering those things, like I have explained these things. Now I hope that we are clear with this. Now I'm going to clear it. Now when we talk about cloud computing, so guys, there are multiple vendors available. First of all, we will talk about AWS, like Amazon Web Services. We have Google Cloud, like which is known as GCP, Azure, DO, like DigitalOcean. Even IBM provides cloud computing environment. Even as of today, Oracle also provides cloud computing services. So these are some of the vendors which are providing cloud computing services to end customers. So that is why we are discussing about these here. Right. So AWS. Now, second thing comes here is that what are the different type of cloud computing environment do we have? So first of all, we would have to say like complete cloud computing environment. Now, what is complete cloud computing? Like AWS? Whatsoever we have, we do not have even a single piece of hardware within our infrastructure aside to laptops, because laptops are just considered to be used only for doing development and the operation activities. Apart from laptop, we need not to have any sort of devices to be kept inside data center. That environment is known as cloud computing environment. Second environment here is that is known as, okay, rather than calling it like cloud, this is known as public cloud. And guys, what is public cloud? Public cloud computing. Rather than saying it like we call it public cloud. Example I have already given you. Second type of environment here is that is known as private cloud. And guys, what is private cloud here? So private cloud means, yes,
The cloud which is specific to a particular organization, like IBM Cloud.
okay,
And
like
public,
IBM cloud, okay,
Within
public
the
cloud,
organization.
yeah.
It is like hosted and non-hosted server.
okay, go ahead. I would answer that.
It means public cloud means is a free of cost. Private means is a more cost.
No, public cloud is kind of cloud which can be configured by anyone inside the organization, or it can be configured by self. So yeah, that is what. And private cloud is it is privately organized in organizations like IBM Cloud or Oracle Cloud.
Public
Okay.
cloud is like a shareable, like a one big like AWS. Different companies can share the infrastructure on the demand, but the private cloud is it won't be shared by other companies. It's to that company.
Okay, good. This seems more suitable. Okay, let us discuss it. So first of all, we are going to talk about public cloud, then we will discuss about private. So for example, we are talking about AWS, right? This is a physical server, right? Now there is a particular user. That user comes in. This is console, like let us say we can define your console.aws.amazon.com or anything, like some URL could be there. So user will try to log into this particular URL, right? Then after, this user is going to create one account over here. User is going to create some server. User is trying to create one. First of all, user will create account. Then after, user will try to create some resources. So that user will be allowed to create one another physical, like virtual machine inside this physical server. This is like sort of EC2. What is EC2? We will discuss later on. Or for now, you can just understand this is a virtual machine. Inside a physical server, this customer is allowed to create a virtual machine. This is a physical server. And let us say that for specification 128 CPU, and let us say 256 GB of RAM, this particular physical server contains, right? Because obviously I'm going to give some sort of example where multiple resources has to be created here. That is why I have defined here this is a physical server, and multiple EC2 machines can be created, because we have, let us say, this machine is created with 1 by 2, like 1 CPU and 2 GB of RAM. So remaining CPUs are 127, and remaining RAM here is 154 GB. Sorry, 254 GB. Now there is another customer coming in. The customer also has a requirement to create a EC2 machine. Person will sign up with this URL. Person will try to create another like another machine for him or herself. Then there will be another machine created. Let us say this time the user created a machine that is also known as EC2 Elastic Cloud Compute with 2 CPU and let us say 4 GB of RAM. So when multiple different account holder or multiple different customers are allowed to create resources for them onto same physical server, because public cloud says that we are dealing with shared hardware model. Shared hardware means this is the same physical server. Multiple customer can have their resources running onto same physical hardware. Multiple customers may have their resources running onto same physical hardware. Because right now, the particular this server, who owns this server? Amazon, maybe Google Cloud, maybe DigitalOcean, maybe Azure, or any CSP like Cloud Service Provider, that is known as CSP. So they are holding this server and they have configured or they have allowed multiple users to access their console to allow them to create resources onto their physical server. This sort of environment is known as public cloud. Are we clear with that? Now, who manages this? Obviously, this server is also kept in some data center. This data center is managed by the engineers who are employees of the particular service provider. Let us say, if I am part of AWS data center team, I am working for them. If there has to be some sort of housekeeping work done, if this server is running out of memory, or if this server has to be kept under monitoring, this server is getting heat, a lot of high temperature can be observed here. The particular AC is not working, like air conditioner, which is kept inside this data center where the server is kept, is not working properly. So any sort of housekeeping activity, any sort of resource monitoring, power management, everything, physical, logical, every sort of things will be managed by those guys who are working for AWS. But the particular logical access to this physical server is created by sort of some virtualization. Let me type in here virtualization. So there is a particular term known as virtualization. So with the help of virtualization mechanism, this physical server is converted into multiple virtual machines on demand by these particular users. As and when some new user will sign up into AWS, and if AWS feels that still the particular amount of hardware, which let us say new actor is requiring, so they may allow to have maybe 20 different customers to be able to create resources onto the same physical server. If this is the model, this is known as public cloud. They are not allowing any person or any customer to have access to their directly physical server, but there is a particular mechanism which is known as virtualization. With the help of that, as and when there is a demand from any of these customers, they will allow, like AWS will allow, or the particular cloud service provider will allow different customer to create their account on console.amazon.aws.amazon.com, and same physical hardware will be shared like between these different users. Now, if we talk about private cloud, so let us say we are talking about private cloud, so we can give any name, maybe we can give IBM. So IBM has public as well as private cloud.
No.
Let me tell you, IBM has private as well as public cloud model. So if IBM allows their customer to create resources onto their shared server, that will be known as IBM's public cloud. But let us say IBM has its own product. There is a particular like different room or maybe a particular floor where different servers are kept, where only those engineers can create the resources on those physical servers who are working for IBM. No person from outside the world will be allowed to access those physical or those virtual machines directly. Yes, it could happen. Let us say IBM is hosting its own data center, and let us say they are providing services to customer. Now customer should be able to access in direct manner. Let us say the web service. For example, there is a particular domain known as diagrams.net, right? I'm using this particular service. So I am also accessing their server, but as a customer. I am not accessing their server directly. I cannot check like what sort of operating system is running on that particular server, whether they are running it on in this type of application is hosted in on-prem data center or in cloud, or what sort of CSP, or you can call that cloud service provider they are associated with. I have nothing to do with that. But when it comes to creation of EC2 machine, so if these machines would be created only by some authorized people of IBM only, who are employees of IBM. So if only there are a number of limited employees who are able to create new virtual machines, maybe there is a demand from internal customer or from external customer. If only authorized person from IBM are allowed to create a virtual machine onto this physical hardware, let us say there is the same hardware machine is there, we can keep it here. So let us say once again, there is a particular physical server which we have in IBM's data center. So guys, I have no relation with IBM. I'm just using the name. If you claim that Lokendra told us that this is how IBM works, so that will not be particular use case, right? This is just for example. So you can think of any organization, maybe IBM, HP, Dell, or whatsoever, right? So when we are talking about that only authorized people who can log into their data center, what happens here, guys? What happens here, guys? Whenever we are trying to create resources within this particular physical server, so first of all, how IBM has allowed, first of all, the person will have to log into data center, then person will log into that particular room where servers are kept. There will be a physical console. That console will be associated with the person's laptop. The person will access that server's console onto laptop. Now the person will be authorized to perform some activities there, because that physical server's connectivity will not be allowed over internet to everyone. Only authorized person from that same organization will be allowed to create resources within that data center on that physical server. If that is the structure, that is how it works. That is known as private cloud. So guys, do we understand now like what is the difference between public and private cloud?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, any question, guys? I would love to have that.
So, Lokendra, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Ajay.
So, basically, the difference between public and private cloud is that in public cloud, like suppose, like here we have defined like actors 1, 2, 3. So, three, I mean, we can consider them as three different organizations can basically, I mean, consume the services which are offered by this physical server by virtualizing them into multiple servers. And in case of private cloud, I think the physical server is virtualized, and but that those virtual machines like EC2 machines are only used by one single organization.
Yes, you are right.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Okay, one more thing, it could also be possible. Let us say there is a particular organization where, let us say that there is a particular new data center created. They are providing physical servers as a service, or maybe virtual machines as a service to their customer, but they are not that much digital, or they are not that much technically sound, like they can open an interface for their customer, that their customer should be allowed to create resources in their infrastructure. So what happens in that case, there will be a couple of engineers. Those engineers will be working for their customer, and only these three engineers who are part of that particular organization, only these users will be allowed to create resources for their customers. But these have to be employee of the same organization and should be authorized to log into that data center as well, should have username and password of this physical server. Only then they can create. Now they will assign public IP address, they will assign internet, they will assign gateway, or whatever sort of like piece of information is supposed to be associated with the servers. Then they will share this detail with their customer. Now customer will be able to handle and will be able to manage these servers based on their requirement. Now let us say I have requested maybe to DigitalOcean to create one machine for me, right? And now machines engineer has created one EC2 machine or one virtual machine for me. Now they will share the piece of information like what is IP address, what is subnet mask, what is gateway, what is DNS information, then whether it is connected to internet or not, right? What is username, what is password, everything they will say, they will provide me. Now, being a particular Linux administrator, now I will be doing installation of software. I will have to configure that based on my requirement. So that sort of environment is known as private cloud. Now, guys, one more thing, which is known as hybrid cloud. The final thing which I would love to explain here is that is known as hybrid cloud. And guys, what is hybrid cloud? The combination of public and private both. For example, I would draw one more thing here. So guys, there are two components. First of all, how does a website work? Let me draw that thing here. First of all, there will be a particular domain name. Let us say it is servergyan.com. Now, this will be hosted on some DNS, right? If I have a load balancer, then DNS will forward request to ELB, like Elastic Load Balancer. Let us not go into detail like it is going to be application or it is going to be network load balancer. For now, let us keep it load balancer only. Then there will be EC2 machines, right? These EC2 machine will be running some sort of web server. These web server will forward request to app server. App servers will forward request to DB, which is known as database. This is how it works, right? If we are aware of any website, like how does that work? So guys, this is the flow. Although there will be more deep diving when we will be going through this particular course. So we will discuss like what is use case of DNS, where can we have DNS, can we modify DNS, can we migrate domain, how do we register a domain, this sort of thing. Definitely guys, we will go through that. But for now, this is the like 20,000 feet overview for a website, like how does that work? So if we talk about this hybrid environment, so guys, let me bring that down. Okay, so guys, what is happening? This is cloud public. What happened here is that my requirement was, first of all, I wanted to have a DNS service. So what I did, I opted a service of DNS from AWS, right? Now I wanted to have load balancer. The devices were really costly, so I thought of having load balancer from AWS. Now, the web servers which I wanted to have, obviously I thought of that I do not have enough hardware as of now. I've created couple of EC2 machines here for web server. So my web server is hosted in public cloud, maybe AWS or whatever name you want to give it, you can definitely, right? Now, I thought that why should I have my customers, the real customer data in public cloud? I would want to be more secure. So what happened here is like application servers. These are created on some VMs. Then after I had a couple of physical servers. Now database. So guys, this database I have hosted on physical server. Right. Now, obviously that if I created a particular server in like on-prem, if I created a server in physical host in on-prem data center, so there has to be some connectivity. So there is some connectivity enabled. This connectivity is going to be enabled with different mechanisms, maybe some VPN connection, AWS direct connect service could be there, some different mechanisms. So guys, if this is the scenario, when we are using public as well as private cloud in order to serve a single customer, for example, this website app.diagrams.net, this is a domain like servergyan.com, right? My DNS, load balancer and web servers, we are hosted in public cloud, and my app servers and database servers, they are hosted in on-prem data center. So this type of the mechanism or this type of architecture structure is known as hybrid cloud. So guys, you tell me, like, do you have any questions so far, like what is public cloud, what is private cloud, then what is hybrid cloud, what are the use cases here?
Yeah, so I just about to ask you the use cases. where we should use a particular cloud? Is there any requirement? According to the requirement, we use this particular cloud, or how it is going to work? What is the
Okay.
real case scenarios?
Yes. So first of all, what happens? There are two use cases majorly. So either if we are a startup, then we prefer to go with complete cloud solution only. We do not want to be in private cloud. We want to be in public cloud only. But let us say when we started, so obviously like old organization, they were like before 2006, there was no concept of cloud computing, right? So they started their data center into private cloud only. But gradually, let us say when they thought like scaling is becoming a really difficult challenge for them, every other day their infrastructure started going down, their customers start getting frustrating. So in such scenarios, what happened, they started doing migration to cloud computing because there was no lack of resources. If they wanted to have multiple load balancer, multiple EC2 machine, different web servers, they wanted to run their web servers with really less load because they wanted to like satisfy their customer. Moreover, if they are working with private data center, there will be only 2 locations, maybe maximum 3 locations will be there. CDN services they had to acquire from like some third party, wherein if we are talking about CDN means, what is CDN?
Content delivery network.
Yes, you are right. So when we are talking about content delivery network, that was also another use case that our customers, if we are serving globally, then our customers should be served from a very nearby edge location. Edge location stands for like means the very nearby location where from the data or the particular request of a customer will be served should be very near to that customer. For example, if I have hosted my server in Mumbai and a user is coming from US or maybe UK, right? So the request will be served from such a server which is already kept inside UK or US only. They will not have to travel like all the way from US to India or from UK to India in order to get their access, like get their request served. So that way, right? Now, when does it come into picture that we started using like, are we clear with public use case and private use case?
Yes.
So now what is the use case of hybrid cloud? So guys, what happens? Let us say we have 1000 servers, including application server, including web server, database servers, maybe Redis, caching, or maybe some sort of like HSM, hardware security module, maybe Elasticsearch, maybe we have Redis, and different type of components are there, right guys? So migrating all the components, let us say the organization were running into on-prem data center for last 10 years, or maybe for 5 years, that is just a number, right? So it is not practically possible to migrate entire data center within a single day or maybe in an hour. So there has to be complete planning. Like obviously we will be discussing about like how do we go for migration, what is cloud migration studies and all, we will be discussing about that for sure. But for now we need to understand that how do we begin with migration. So guys, we begin migration like step by step. First of all, we will migrate the particular load balancer. That first of all, we will set up a load balancer. We will enable connectivity from on-prem to cloud and from cloud to on-prem. That if I migrate my load balancer from here, so that load balancer should be able to send request to my web server or to my application server, which are currently running here in this data center, right? Okay, then what next? I will migrate my web servers, because web servers migration is really easy because these are reconfigurable. Second thing, I will start connectivity between both. So at the time of that migration phase, so maybe we can plan 100% migration, or we may stay on a particular decision that we are going to use hybrid model always. So at the time of migration, when we are migrating servers from on-prem to public cloud or to like anywhere, like that is going to be AWS, Google Cloud, DigitalOcean, or is Azure, whatever. So when we start migration, so there is a particular situation when we start using public cloud as well as private cloud. So that particular technical architecture becomes a hybrid cloud model. So that is the use case here. So it is not specific like definitely like we are being more fancy, not like that. But yes, when we are in the phase of migration, so we have to use public cloud as well as on-prem data center, and that particular technical architecture, the technical diagram looks like a hybrid cloud model. I guess we are clear with that.
So basically, there is no as such a hybrid cloud model. It is only the combination of public and private.
Yes.
Okay.
There is no such, there is nothing such as, but as I said, Shubh, so we need to understand this thing. A particular organization may plan to use hybrid cloud model forever, or they may use that hybrid cloud model during migration itself.
I got it. Okay.
Yes, so that will be based on the requirement, because see, when we are working within an organization, there are different teams, like there is security team, governance team, right? Different network teams, business team. So there are different use cases. Yes, Prashant, do you have any you have any question?
Sir, can you explain a little bit about virtualization?
Yeah, sure. I'll come on to that. You don't to worry.
So, Lukendra, I have one question. Like you just said, the combination of public and private cloud is called hybrid cloud. But
Yes.
use case which you just discussed, it was like we were migrating the on-premises environment to the public cloud, right? So it
And vice
in
versa
that,
as well. Vice versa as well.
but on-premises is something which is physically available on the data center. It is not a private cloud.
Yeah, it's not a private cloud.
Okay, wait. So when we call private cloud, so let us say if you are using your VMware within your private cloud, right? So whenever, like, let us say you have 50 or maybe you have 100 servers, and these are accessible within your organization only. So that can be considered as a private cloud. Like only you and your administrators will be allowed to have access onto that.
Yeah,
Okay,
access
so
to
for that we
access.
don't have to go to this console.aws.amazon.com and like that kind of stuff. I
So,
mean,
okay.
the earlier, like the previously, like how organization used to work, they used to have a data center and used to keep all the resources over there. So that particular model can be considered as a private cloud, right? That's what you are trying to say.
Right. So what happened initially, like most of people used to work on command line interface only, right?
Yeah.
Later on, what happened when, let us say, it was like VMware was used mostly, like Citrix was used mostly. Then after it came into like Zen, then after like RH, like Revm, like Red Hat Virtualization Manager came into picture. So these started creating a particular cluster of multiple physical hardware.
Yes.
We were able to manage, like one hyper was like, guys, if you are not aware of hypervisor, so we will come on to it after 5 minutes only, because these terms, whatever we are using, we need to have basic understanding of this. So Ajay, to be specific to your question, so when people started like doing virtualization, and there was a central machine that was being used as a manager, like virtualization manager that was being used as. So we started getting a particular console to manage multiple physical servers. Like we were able to handle multiple physical servers wherever hypervisor was installed. We could have selected from a single screen, okay, like there are 10 servers available. Now we need to create a new machine onto this particular machine. We would give instruction from one central console, and that Red Hat or maybe the like VMware virtualization mechanism will decide wherever most of resources are available, either automatically that will allocate, or we have a control that we can decide that I need to create a particular machine within this physical hardware. So that console was made available. Initially, like all the machines were supposed to be managed individually. Later on, when the technology emerged, then even Red Hat, even your Citrix, even your, what should I call that, VMware, all the resources, all the virtualization environment, virtualization platforms have started providing a particular centralized console to manage multiple physical hardware. So that is considered to be, as of these days, as private cloud, because no one from internet should have access to it, and we
Yes.
are managing that like a particular centralized console. So that is treated as private cloud.
Okay. Thank you.
So either you can call that still as a data center, you can call that, or you can call it as this is your private cloud, because that can be accessed over VPN on a central console. Yes, Uma, please go ahead.
Yeah, actually, the cloud is as pay as a go, right? The private cloud is the servers you are renting from other provider for our organization. Physical servers means it's on us, it's owned by us. There is a difference between a physical server and the private cloud. Private cloud is we are renting from the provider, and we are using that as pay.
Okay. So, okay, let us have basic understanding of that thing as well. Yes, I must say that you are right. So what happens whenever we create a data center? So ideally it is created for or like on uses only, right? Either you can use the particular architecture which you have, either you can start sharing that the particular resources within that data center to some specific limited customer who are coming to your data center, who are having an agreement with you. Now either you can allocate some physical server and you can just charge them for doing housekeeping and all. So that will be treated as a data center, because multiple different components including your server, RAM, internet, physical, hardware, and logical security, everything is available there. If you are sharing those servers with some other customers as well, that will become a cloud if you want to share. Otherwise that is going to remain your own data center, which is working like a cloud model, because whenever it is known as cloud, like centralized like control panel is there, and that can be managed from remotely. End of the day, like whatever we are doing here in this public cloud, so they do have also their data center, right? Even Amazon, Google Cloud, Azure, every single cloud service provider has their data centers. If they started sharing resources to different customers, it became a cloud. Otherwise, everything is data center at initial level.
Yes, yes, sir. There is a difference in the physical servers. Physical server means that it's owned by company. They will have access. The private cloud is we are renting from other company like IBM, and we will take their resources and we will use that one.
Yes,
we won't own anything.
Yes, we will not own anything there. So see, like what I meant to say here is, okay, let us say if this particular term is creating a problem, we can call that a like on-prem data center. We can call that on-prem data center, because we are not, let us say if as I gave an initial example of like IBM. So IBM two schemes. First of all, they are providing as like public cloud. Second thing, they have their own data center where only IBM's engineers are creating like resources. They are creating like virtual machine and whatever, and that is being used for IBM internal projects only. Yes, Prashant, you have some question.
Sir, please consider a scenario like it's a TCS company, and we have bought private cloud from IBM. That means the resources are being shared within the TCS guys only. This is not shared by any other outside persons, right, sir?
Okay, come again once again.
Private cloud means actually we have bought it from IBM only.
Okay.
Presently we are working in TCS. So whatever the TCS guys are eligible to access the resource from that particular organization, but outside peoples are not eligible to go for accessing the same resources.
Yes, that is example of private cloud, but that is considered as data center for IBM engineers, but that is like private cloud for TCS engineers. Why it is so? Because private like engineers from TCS does have access to only those virtual machines. They cannot access the particular underlying hardware.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
And it can also happen, let us say, in a hypothetical manner, and obviously like in cloud computing environment, this works. So let us not talk about public or cloud, private. So in cloud computing environment, this is feasible that you guys can share a particular console or a URL with them, that as and when engineers from TCS wants to create new virtual machine or to remove like older machine from this physical server, they may also get access over internet, like obviously or over VPN, right? So like engineers from TCS may also get access to this server, but logically, not the physical. They would never ever enter into IBM's data center.
Yes, sir. That what I said. Actually, this physical server 128 CPU and 256 RAM completely reserved for TCS only. That is called private cloud.
Yes.
It's not shared by any other companies.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Okay.
So you can call in other words, like if I talk about in cloud computing and AWS terminology, so that is known as a like dedicated host. So now in that particular case, TCS has acquired one dedicated host in IBM's private cloud. So no other customer will have ever any sort of access. Let us say there are two customers, TCS and let us say HP. Both customers are getting physical servers from IBM. There is only maybe common or maybe separate data center could be there, different scenarios. So let us assume there is only single data center where one rack is allocated to TCS and another rack is allocated where multiple blades or maybe like different type of servers are allocated. They are mounted there. So one server, one physical server completely with 128 CPU and 256 GB of RAM is allocated to to TCS, and another server in another rack or maybe in the same rack as well is allocated to like HP. Data center remains same, but customers have access onto different physical hardware. So this is particular term is known as dedicated host. Let me show you that here.
Yes.
Yeah, this one. So even you can ask AWS to reserve any physical machine for you, that as and when you want, only you will be allowed to access that. So are we clear so far, guys?
Yeah, we are clear. Only difference here, as we thought, yeah, we are clear. That's why.
Yes.
I
Thank you.
have one question.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead. I love questions.
Yeah, so I've joined bit late. What is like below EC2 there is 1 and in VM there is 2. What is this? Are there the number of EC2 machines which?
Okay, so wait, when we started this discussion, so we were discussing about like what is public cloud, what is private cloud. So within public cloud, let me give a recap to everyone. So within public cloud, what happens if there is a particular, let's say we are talking about Amazon in this case, like Amazon cloud we are talking about, there is a particular physical server. Now there are three different customers. Let us say this customer, this is ABC company, this is XYZ, this is 123. There are three different customers for AWS. Console.aws.amazon.com remains same for every customer. Why it is so? Because whenever we create our AWS account, so console URL remains same. Now there is a physical server available within AWS data center. The very first customer signed in today and started creating one virtual machine. So that particular virtual machine is allocated onto this physical server with some virtualization mechanism. In case of AWS, this remains either Zen or Citrix as well. Initially it was used, and or like you can call that KVM. So these are the name of virtualization mechanism which AWS uses mostly. Then after, with the help of virtualization, this customer created a particular virtual machine onto this physical server. After one day or maybe same day, another customer signed up with AWS as a customer. This person wanted to create like one machine for like himself or herself. This customer was also allowed to create a resource with 2 CPU and 4 GB of RAM onto same physical server. The third customer came. This physical server still has some capacity that it can support some other machines as well. So third machine was created for this customer. So this was what we were discussing initially. Like on a public cloud platform, multiple customers can have their resources running onto same physical hardware, because public cloud says that we believe in shared resource model. That is why this can be cheaper. Moreover, let us say this customer came, just did some practice maybe for 2 hours, maybe for 10 hours. After that, the person deleted the machine and some new customer came in. AWS has complete rights to allocate the particular allocation of new resources for this new customer onto the same physical server. This is public cloud model, shared hardware resource model. Right, guys?
Yep.
In case of this one private, so whosoever is working as part of the data center like engineer, so they will decide. Let us say if there is a requirement from a developer that is coming in, we have maybe 35 physical server. For example, we have 35 physical servers. There is a request coming in from some developer or maybe from DevOps, maybe from TechOps engineer, that I would like to have another machine. Now they will just raise a request that I need one more virtual machine with so and so requirement, let us say 500 GB of disk, let us say 16 CPU, maybe 64 GB of RAM or whatever. Then these engineers who are working as part of this data center team, they will decide that on whatever physical server they would like to create, because first of all they will analyze that how many physical servers do they have, what is the particular capacity consumption do they have. So after analyzing all the things, these engineers are going to decide that on which particular physical machine they will need to create one virtual machine for the requirement which came in for like to them. That is private cloud, or you can call the data center model as well. Right, guys? So this is what happens. One more thing, guys, we would like to discuss, like what are the ways, what are the models of cloud computing do we have? These were the types, like either it could be public, it could be private, or it could be hybrid. Now, when we talk about the particular types, so like usually people ask during interview, especially to freshers or to like those engineers who are working up to 5 years of experience, usually these sort of questions are there. Like what is difference between IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS? Anyone would like to give an answer?
IaaS is the infrastructure as a service.
Yes, sir.
PaaS is platform as a service, and SaaS is software as a service.
Great. Is there any other one?
So basically, IaaS means where the provider is handling till virtualization layer, and platform as a service where the provider or the CSP is handling the infra till platform level. I mean, one level above level till virtualization like operating system. And SaaS is a complete software solution they are providing to end customer.
Okay, very good.
Example of SaaS is Gmail.
Great. Okay, any example of IaaS? And okay, how do we distinguish between IaaS and PaaS? Like, how do we identify that a particular service which we are consuming is IaaS, PaaS, or SaaS? How do we identify these?
So IaaS is EC2 instance, and PaaS is Lambda functions. Lambda.
Yes, Lambda is PAS. You taught us. Remember.
Yes, you can call it as Microsoft Office.
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so guys, when we hire engineers, so what is the expectation there? First of all, we need to have that they should be able to operate operating system, right? For example, let us say I want to host a web server. So what would be my requirement? That a person should be able to create, first of all, EC2 machine on AWS platform. EC2 machine creation is very easy, like just like cakewalk, right? Very easy. Now, after creation of that EC2 machine, what would happen? Will it be eligible to host any website automatically without doing anything else?
No, we can use the user data.
Okay, but for like updating user data, we need to understand like what sort of command we are going to use. We need to have a basic understanding. For example, in user data, there will be different sort of command placed. Like if it is Red Hat, then for package installation, we are going to use yum command. If it is going to be Ubuntu, then we are going to use apt. Or if it is going to maybe like any XYZ, then we will use 123 command, right? Every single platform comes with a different set of commands. The particular package extension, maybe the command for user administration, maybe the command for service restartup, the particular directory structure, everything remains different, right? So if we are going to work with infrastructure as service, so we will begin from like operating system layer. First of all, we need to define like what operating system it is. Then after, once we have created operating system, we will need to define how many users are supposed to be created here, or you can say whoever or who wants to have access on the server, who should be authorized to log into the server, that will be part of the particular customer who is going to acquire or who is going to consume the services as part of infrastructure as a service. Then after, what softwares? Like software, a person has to manage. For example, there are some vulnerabilities. The particular version of software which you have installed, that is maybe that is vulnerable. Anyone from internet may exploit your resources. The hacker may do some attack, right? That way. Then after, if we talk about some other components here, then after, let us say patching activity, disk, HDD, we can call that hard disk device. Then after, network speed. Then after, if we talk about your services, everything you will have to manage. OS, user, software, hard disk, network, maybe your swap, whatsoever above the like operating system, you will have to manage. For example, if there are some vulnerabilities within operating system itself, let us say there are some new patches coming in, you have subscription from Red Hat, all the updates which are coming in from Red Hat, then you are going to be responsible for it. For example, you have installed like MySQL. You have created one EC2 machine as IAS example, right? Now on that operating system, you have installed MySQL. Now developer wants to upgrade it, maybe for the testing purpose, or let us say your security team, your VAPT team, or let us say your governance team says that we need to run with always the updated version of software. Now you need to upgrade it. So what would happen? In that case, not only operating system, but the particular software as well, you will have to handle. How would you ensure that there should be no downtime? Let us say if you have to remove the particular operating like package from operating system, then you will install the updated version of it. Then you will restore the backup, whatever you have taken. The particular downtime which you need to take, you will need to take approval from different verticals, different team, different product owners. Everywhere you will have to take approval of. So these sort of part will be considered as IaaS, infrastructure as service. They have provided you a particular platform. And what sort of things now they are going to manage? So guys, first of all, they shall be managing about the particular physical server. Then after, they shall be managing about virtualization, right? Physical network. You can call that housekeeping. Housekeeping or of the, okay, I'm so sorry. Yes. So guys, you can understand in a nutshell, housekeeping of physical servers will be done by your vendor or your CSP cloud service provider, and the particular operating system, user, the particular library, software libraries, everything you will have to take care of. In case of PaaS, let us say, once again, we will take example of RDS. Relational database services we are talking about, guys. Let us say there is a requirement coming in from some developers. Developer says that I want to have my SQL. The version should be 5.7.2. Any random example I'm taking up, guys, right? 5.7.2. Any random example. Okay. Now, will the developer ever ask you that I want this database to be running on Windows or Linux? Never. Then does that developer let you know that you need to install this MySQL software or MySQL database on Ubuntu or Red Hat or CentOS or Fedora? Do we ever get this sort of requirement? No. What sort of requirement we get? That the particular software where it should be running, the particular hardware capacity should be, let us say, 4 CPU and 8 GB of RAM. Moreover, 250 GB of storage should be there. The network speed should be at least 5 Gbps. Or so and so forth, right? So these sort of things we can decide under PaaS. We need not to worry about operating system, how many users are getting on that particular like physical server or maybe on that virtual machine, who are responsible to install MySQL. What other softwares are available on that operating system where our RDS or maybe our MySQL is running. how much overall hard disk is allocated, because what you need to ensure here is that 256 GB of HDD should be allocated for your users purpose. If you know only that much, that is known as platform as service. For example, now what you need to worry about? Your data backup, right? Frequency of it, how would you restore it, whether it has to be incremental, daily backup, twice in a day, or whatever scheme of the backup taking you want to ensure. That is it. That is going to be your task. Moreover, how many tables are going to be there? Who will have access to what table? Who will, let us say you have created multiple databases in the single RDS. So who will have access to what? That sort of thing you will have to manage as part of platform as service. Right, guys? Same thing like SaaS. So guys, I guess that most of us have our account created on Gmail, right?
Yes.
I guess so. Okay.
Yes.
Gmail in general. In case of AWS, we can talk about SNS, simple notification service, maybe SES, simple email services, that sort of thing. But because Gmail is a general term, we all understand. So guys, is there anyone who can tell me like what is the particular physical server or virtual machine does Gmail uses in order to host email platform? Obviously, no. We do not know. Second thing, what is the version of operating system are they using? What is the flavor of operating system they are using? How many servers do they have? Do they use load balancer? Is it a physical or a virtual? What sort of firewall do they use? Do we have anything to do with that? No?
No.
What we need to do here is we will type in www.gmail.com. We will have our own username and password. Whatever emails we sent and whatever emails we received, we should be able to work with that. The same way goes here with Gmail in general term, but if we talk about AWS services, then SES, or you can call that I must say SES or SNS, simple notification service. So over here we don't have to worry about like what software they are using to send notification, send email. They will ask us a couple of details like what domain would you like to verify, what should be the email address using which you would like to send email. Rest of things will be taken care by them. That means cloud service provider. So if you want, guys, we can just have a look here. Like some clear picture we can have here. We can go with some images. Any image, like almost all are same. On premises, like networking, storage, servers, virtualization, everything, OS, middleware, runtime, data application, everything we have to manage, because on premises, the particular component in this particular cyan color, so this is managed by us, and in orange or whatever, like I do not have a lot of knowledge of these colors, so this orange color will be managed by them. That means CSP, cloud service provider. Networking, storage, server, virtualization, these will be managed by CSP. OS, middleware, runtime, data and application, this will be managed by us. Over here in case of PaaS, only data and application will be managed by us. Rest of component will be managed by ISP, or sorry, CSP, cloud service provider. In case of SaaS, everything is going to be managed by CSP only, cloud service provider. Now, guys, you let me know if you have any questions so far. Yes, guys, any questions so far? I would love to take.
Sir, SaaS includes both PaaS and IaaS.
Yes. See, the particular manageability. Okay, let's go once again with IaaS versus PaaS versus SaaS. Images. This one. Okay. So over here, the management which we are doing, so we are paying very less amount, because once we purchase data center, once we create our data center, we have not to pay anything to anyone. Once we have paid to vendor for purchasing server, that is it. Over here, we have not purchased the hardware, but we have borrowed, or you can call that we have hired the particular hardware on rent, right? So over here, networking, storage, servers, and virtualization, this particular part, yeah, like you can call that, in other words, housekeeping of that physical hardware will be done by computer service provider. So we will be paying less for this. OS middleware runtime will be managed by us, so we will pay less for this. But if we want that even operating system middleware runtime should be managed by like CSP only, then we will have to pay a little extra for this. So the particular work level, what we are going to do and what they are going to do for us. So the particular as much as work our CSP will perform for us on our behalf, definitely even there are some engineers sitting in. So whatever their engineers are getting, definitely we will have to pay that off. Isn't it? End of the day, AWS. Okay, what happened here? I guess there was some issue. Like,
yes, sir.
Yes. In fact, I got a notification that screen sharing is paused. Okay, I guess now this is clear. So guys, when we are talking about this screen once again, to the particular level of information which we are managing, the particular operation which we are performing here, we are paying less. In case of IaaS model, we are paying less amount. In case of PaaS, we are paying more amount. And in case of SaaS, this is the costliest service which we have. Because the particular engineers which are sitting in AWS office, in AWS data center, they are managing things for us. What do you think? The particular patching of OS does not happen within AWS. Some or the other engineers are responsible to perform that activity, right? Moreover, they have to ensure that there is no downtime for the customer. There should be no manual intervention. Things should be automated. Everything should be up and running. Everything should be up to date, because they have to publish the particular white paper that what sort of patches they have applied so far and on number of servers. Everything they have to publish to their customers, right? So whatever they are managing for us, they will be charging for it. They will be charging for that.
So I have a question here.
Please go ahead.
So the data center that you are talking about, which is getting handled by the Amazon, so are they charging for providing the particular data center to us, or how is it? Because in VMware also it is happening the same, right? So the data center that we are paying, and the same thing we are also paying for the AWS as well. So what is the difference?
The difference here is, in order to have your own or maybe you want to have your data center where VMware should be running. So what is going to happen there? First of all, you will have to acquire physical servers. Then you will have to get license for VMware. Then you will set it up. There will be multiple different engineers. Like there will be engineer to set up networking section. There will be a particular a specific person in your organization or in your team who would be mounting the servers into racks. There will be another person who will be setting up the particular ISP connection over your physical server, over your firewall. Then after, there will be multiple switches. Then logical networking will be done there. If you create individual machines, then you need to acquire some public IP address pool. For example, if you are creating a virtual machine and you need to allocate one public IP address with that virtual machine, that sort of part you will be managing, right?
Okay, here it will be managed by Amazon
ISP.
itself.
Yes, by ISP itself.
And we are paying for that to the particular vendors, right?
Yes, that's what we are paying to particular vendor. In case of data center, we already have decided that which vendor we are going to work with. For example, you need internet connection. Tata, Reliance, Jio, Airtel, maybe Vodafone, Idea. So this sort of vendors were there. Right, guys? Okay, let me mute. Fine. So,
I got it.
That way. Why it is not getting muted? Ayushi, please mute yourself if you are not speaking. Great, thank you. Okay, so like this. And guys, now if you want, so definitely I can create one EC2 machine for you, because now this is the time of my test, whether I shall be able to teach or not. So guys, definitely I'm going to demonstrate how to create EC2 machine. And definitely this will take another 4 and maybe 4.5 hours, furthermore. But yes, I would not take a lot of your time today, because I know that when a person is not into the habit of sitting for long, then it becomes boring. So Guys, when we are talking about EC2 machine creation, so there are a couple of things which I will have to bring into notice that yes, these are the things which we need to take care of. Okay, the very first thing when we think of creating EC2 machine, the very first thing comes into picture that what type of operating system we are going to create. So the very first thing which comes into picture is AMI, that is known as Amazon Machine Image. Now, guys, those persons who are willing to go for AWS interview, and the person has already shown that the person has experience of 2 years, maybe 4 years, then definitely, guys, some basic interview question should be there. Okay, what is difference between AMI and IAM? Because these are confusing. AMI and IAM, two different concepts are there, but a person may ask you after clubbing the particular term. So you need to be very, very clear when a person is asking about AMI, like Amazon Machine Image. So an AMI is a template that contains software configuration. And what is that? Operating system, application server, and other applications. For example, you are trying to host a WordPress website. Now, what is operating system here? So let us say we can think of Ubuntu, maybe CentOS, maybe Red Hat, or maybe any XYZ operating system. Now, what is application here? So application means WordPress is the application, and what other application server is WordPress here. What other applications could be here? Let us say Apache, PHP, MySQL, sort of other applications could also be part of that image, right? So an AMI is a particular software template which includes operating system, application server, and application required to launch your instance. Without AMI, you shall not be able to launch any instance within AWS. Are we clear with that? That what is AMI? Amazon Machine Image. Now, guys, the very next thing what we need to discuss here is, as long as you guys will be working for your learning process only, you are not part of any organization so far, let us assume. So you will have to understand and you will have to consider this, that guys, you are going to only choose the free tier eligible images here. Whatever is free tier eligible, choose it. Because let us say there are some of the particular AMIs available which are related to Mac OS. If you choose this does not come for free. You will have to pay for it. Right, guys? Red Hat, free tier eligible, SUSE, Ubuntu, Windows. Even these particular have some sort of paid server like SQL Server and all. So these are going to be paid. So as long as you guys are going to work with your account, so guys, you need to be very, very careful that you are always going to select a free tier eligible machine. Now, what is free tier eligible? We will discuss on next screen. But before that, let us discuss. So this is a particular flavor, which is Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Version is going to be 8. Now, guys, what is this HVM? So, guys, HVM stands for Hardware Assisted Virtualization, like mechanism. HVM, Hardware Assisted Virtualization. The particular disk which is going to be associated with this particular virtual machine, that will be SSD. There are two AMIs available. First AMI is x86 64-bit, x86 64-bit, and another is 64-bit ARM. Guys, is there anyone who can tell me the difference between both ARM and 64? Sorry, x86. Anyone?
So as you have told us, ARM
Please
जो
go
है वो
ahead.
Amazon का है और x86 is the different one.
Okay, can you please explain a little more? Ayushi.
Yes. So इतना ही याद है. ARM मतलब like it's of Amazon only, Amazon hardware and is for the rest we having like for Red Hat.
Okay, not a problem. Good. So any other one would like to give it a try?
It's a CPU architecture, like x86 is a different and ARM is a different one.
What is the difference?
Basically used for developing mobile application and all.
No, it is not like that. You can run any sort of web service as well on ARM.
x86 operate directly on RAM.
Or what about your ARM?
It's like other operating system.
Okay, so any other one would like to give it a try? Shubh, Ajay, Ajit. No, silence means no. Okay, let me come on to it. So guys, there are two type of architectures available here. First of all, we have X, like 64-bit, x86. So sort of Intel processor we are going to get, okay? When we talk about ARM, so ARM is a special processor, which is designed and developed by Amazon itself. That is in-house product of Amazon, as far as the documentation which I have read so far, right? This is like approx 40 to 50% cheaper, varies from different like region to region, right? I must not be commenting like what is the cost of every type of hardware in every region. So that may vary from different like region to region. What is available region, what is region, we will definitely discuss without any doubt in coming sessions. But for now, like, we can understand like this is a different type of processor. On an average, the compute power, or you can call it compute capacity, is less in comparison to x86. This provides lesser compute power. Number of CPU will be same, but if you talk about like clock rate, that will be less. If it provides 3.4, it will provide 2.6. Like that sort of difference is there. We will see in detail in coming sessions for sure. But for now, these are like some different hardware type. This is in-house developed by Amazon, and this is known as Graviton. Right? For now, we are going to select this one. And guys, one more interview question here is, so the question here is, let us say I have selected x86, sorry, 64-bit x86 CPU architecture type. Can I change my instance type to like later on, once the instance is created, to ARM? Can I change the instance type?
Yes, we can. We can change the instance type.
Okay, good. But the answer here is no. See.
Are you like the question is for changing the instance type in the processor like ARM and Intel one?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay, see guys, I have selected this type of instances here, like we have here T2. So what is this? We need to understand first of all, T is the instance family type, general purpose. 2 is the family revision number, and dot micro, dot large. So this particular value, like the value after this dot, states the particular hardware capacity. For example, large says that we have like 2 CPU and 8 GB of RAM. X large, just double into it, will state just double of it. 2x large will state just double of it. So it means T2 is the like family type, T is the family type, 2 is the revision number of that family type, and after dot value states the particular hardware capacity. If you want to talk about like different family instance family type, we have a lot of, like we have T2, T3, T3A, T4G. So guys, see, very, very interesting thing. Wherever you see a particular G mentioned after any type, an instance type, like T4G, like C6G, C6GD, GN. So wherever G is mentioned, so over here, if you select this type of hardware specification, then you are going to be working with only and only ARM processor type. Whether it is M5G, there should be somewhere like M5G or something like. Okay, we can figure it out later on, or M6G, maybe R6G sort of. Yes. So wherever we find G mentioned at the end of this number, so that number states like it is a Graviton processor. Are we clear with that, guys? Okay. Now the particular value after this dot, it states the hardware capacity. That is it. Now, what other thing we need to take care of? Like we are going to go with like this one, like my favorite one, T2 micro, because it comes for free. Guys, read this information very carefully, because this is going to be really, really helpful for you in coming time. Because if you start practicing on your AWS account, then definitely this will allow, or this will help you to run the number of instances for limited hours only. For example, let me read it out for you. You can run one EC2 machine, like the machine which we are going to create of this particular size, 1 CPU and 1 GB of RAM, for like 750 hours. It means more than a month, like more than 31 days. Maximum number of days in a month are 31, and the overall 31 into 24 equal to 744 or something like, right? So even we can have 6 hours as spare one. So one EC2 machine you can run for the first 12 months from the date of your sign up. That is not for calendar month. For example, like today is 9th of April and you created your account today, then on 31st of December 2022, this account will expire. No, it is not going to happen like that. This works in that way, like from the date of your AWS account creation for next 365 or 64, whatever the number is. So for one calendar year, that is going to work from the date of your account creation. Moreover, if you create more than that, then you will have to pay as you go basis. The particular amount, whatever AWS charges as standard, you will also have to pay the same. So please be careful. The best practices here are whatever region you select here. Let us say it is Mumbai, North Virginia, Singapore, Ohio, or whatever. You can see multiple regions here. So whatever regions you would like to work with, select any 2 regions, any 2, whatever you feel like. But should not be more than 2. Why it is so? Because end of the day, UI is going to be same, the console is going to remain same. But what happens here is, let us say if you log out quickly without checking your service is running here or not, in that case you can log into your account once again and you will be able to identify that if you have left any resource running in your account for which you may have to pay later on unwantedly. Right, guys? Okay. Then after, if we talk about configure instance detail, obviously we will hit here. So this is like how many number of instances you want to create. We can create based on the limit. We will see that how do we check limits over here. Maybe 1 instance I want to create. Over here, purchasing option. So guys, this is really interesting thing to know. What are the purchasing options available in AWS? Anyone?
On demand.
Okay, let us write it down. That is on demand.
Spot instance.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
Reserved instance.
RIs. Reserve instance. Yes, you're right. Savings plan. Now, the question here is, what is the difference between all? Or let us say, if you are hired in an organization as AWS engineer or AWS administrator, what plan will you suggest to your manager or to your organization in order to go for cost optimization? That's the question.
Saving plan.
Okay, but why? See, I ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, it depends upon the need of our client, like situation where we are. Like if we need servers like for 2 or 3 years, then we'll opt for reserved one. And if there is a requirement of something like testing purpose or like where our data is not that important, something like that, then we go for the spot instance, because particular time period we will be going to use that one.
Okay.
And on demand instance we'll use when basically it's like if I take a real world example, it's like a hotel room where you book for some certain amount of time and you use and do your task, and then you remove that. So on the basis of your demand, you'll just choose.
Okay, great. Good to know that. But the twist here is, as you said, you want to use your reserve instance for 3 years, right? So today you have a demand that you want to run a particular machine with, let us say, 4 CPU and 8 GB of RAM, right? But later on you realized that based on the particular requirement, right now you have booked a particular instance type, but later on you realize that this will not suffice. You will have to increase the hardware size. So what would happen in that case? RI does not allow that. if you create, let us say if you create 2 instances, one with this amount and one with 8 CPU and like let us say 16 GB of RAM, you will have to pay for both. It means the instance which you have done as part of your reserve instance, that will not allow you to create or to provision another type of like instance. For example, let us say over here you were using C5.4x large, right? So this comes with, let us say this comes with 16 CPU and 32 GB of RAM, right? Later on you realize that now you want M5.4x large. This comes with 16 CPU and 64 GB of RAM. So for example, initially you booked this one, but you did not want it to increase number of CPU, but you wanted to increase number of RAM, the amount of RAM you can call that. So in that case, if you create new instance like this, then you will be paying for this as well as for this, because AWS does not allow you to convert the instance type. And there is one more facility available with this, and the facility is known as convertible. If you opt that option, first of all, there will be less discount given to you. Second thing, for example, you had an agreement maybe for like 2 years, or maybe sorry, 1 or 3 years. So you had an agreement for 3 years. Today is, let us say, 9th April 2022. This is the date today. After 18 months, you thought to change the instance type to this one. You opted that option that you are ready to take maybe a less like discount on reserve instances. You opted for this type of instance. Now what would happen after 8 months? What will be the date? Let us assume this is going to be somewhere like let us say 9th of October 2023, right? So your agreement will be renewed for next 3 years from this date. Did you understand that, guys? The particular date, whenever you are going to modify the instance type under RI, your agreement will be renewed for next 3 years or maybe for 1 year. Whatever the particular current scheme you have, for that particular amount of time, that contract will get renewed. Moreover, if you have made an agreement with AWS that you are going to go with RI, then there is rare chances to cancel the order, that you do not want to go for it. You will have to pay for it. Are we clear with that?
Yes.
Great. Now, if we go with this one, which is known as savings plan. So savings plan and RI, like reserve instance, are almost same. But the major difference between RI and savings plan here is savings plan allows you, okay, see, in case of RI, we have to make an agreement based on instance type, region, availability zone, OS. This sort of information we have to define at the time of booking RIs. Like what instance type you will be using, what will be region, availability zone, and operating system. In case of savings plan, we have to commit for compute power. Let us say I will be spending, let us say 15 USD per hour, right, for using CPU and RAM, irrespective of instance type, irrespective of region, availability zone, of like operating system, whatsoever I want. Let us say before 10 minutes I was running an instance type maybe C5.4x large. Now I thought of creating R5.4x large. If this is under $15 per hour, then it will be charged as per my savings plan discount. But as soon as the particular amount, let us say I'm not running only this instance, what if I am spending maybe $18 per hour? if I am spending $18 per hour, then in that case, all the instances which are running for what are the like higher than what is the greater than this amount, $15. What is the value then? 3 USD is overcharged. $3 is overcharged on my savings plan, right? This particular amount I shall be paying as on-demand instance. $15 are covered. Instances which are running under $15 or up to $15, those will be paid or those will be charged based on the particular discount which are applicable on my savings plan, right? Beyond that, whatever resources I use in terms of CPU and memory, those will be charged based on on-demand prices. Are we clear with that, guys? The difference between RI and savings plan.
I have one doubt.
Please go ahead.
So in a reserved instance, we are not able to change, like if we have opted for 2 to 3 years, then in between we are not allowed to change, like from C5.4x large to R5.4x large.
Yes.
And in savings plans means we are means allowed to change within that time period.
Yes.
And
So,
the extra amount will be paying on the basis of on-demand price.
Yes, yes. Beyond your committed value, which is 15 USD. Beyond that amount, all the compute power will be charged based on demand. Because in case of savings plan, you are doing commitment. In case of RI, you are doing commitment. But on demand says, if you want to use it. If you don't want, terminate it.
Yeah.
Okay. So now what is the use case of a spot instance? Anyone would like to give any answer on that? Anyone?
Spot instances, like it is like we fix a price, like I need 2 or 3 instances, then the price is between 15 to 16 US$. So give me 2 instances. So it is something like that. The bid for a price.
Okay, I'll give you a real-time example. Let us say I thought of going to my office. The distance from my office to my home is, let us say, 25 kilometers, right? I booked a cab, let us say Ola, Uber, or any private taxi. I booked. The person said that, okay, I'm sitting idle. Let's go together. Even I was going in the same direction. I will charge you only, let us say, 50 rupees to drop you there, right? There was the agreement that yes, I will charge you, but the person was very tricky. He said that if anyone offered on the way more than you, I will drop you there only, because the person has only one seat reserved, only one seat empty. So what would happen? Let us say after going maybe 8 or maybe 10 kilometers, some other person was waiting for a cab. Person met the driver. Driver said, okay, how much would you pay? The driver said, okay, from here to the same place, I will give you 70 rupees. As soon as there was a commitment, the person asked me to get down and picked that person and once again started towards the particular destination. Maybe like second person also committed for 70 rupees. Third person, again, there was a person waiting for the same place, same cab, same direction, same location. The person said, if you drop me there, I'll pay you 80 rupees. So he charged 50 rupees for me for that duration, or whatever the amount was there. He charged 70 to some other one, and that goes on the basis of bidding till the time that bidding meets the particular amount of on-demand prices. Now, let me give you some like technical writing here. For example, there is instance like C5.4x large, right? Average price for this particular instance is, let us say, 1 USD. Just a moment, guys. Yes, average price here is for this instance 1 USD. As per spot, if I purchase it, then I would bid only for 0.25 USD. I would say that if these instances are not being used, then please allocate these to me. I'm ready to pay up to 0.25 USD. right? AWS will allocate the instances to me. In the meanwhile, let us say it's been 2 days or maybe 2 hours, instances are running properly in my account. But there is no guarantee for spot instances. We need to be like ready for that as well. As and when AWS can revoke the instances from your account. Okay. Then some other person came and started bidding for 0.30 USD. Then the particular resources from my account will be revoked and will be allocated to some other user. But if I want to go for a spot instance and I have bid 1 USD, then there will be no chance that these instances will be revoked. Why it is so? Because I'm already paying as on-demand instances. And that does not make any difference. And neither that does not make any sense as well, right? When we have to pay equal, then why do we want to go for spot instances? Now, what is the use case here? You guys can ask me that in which use case we can go ahead with this. Guys, there is a particular component in AWS which is known as AutoScaling. We will have two combinations there. First of all, we will have on-demand and we will have a spot instance. So in that particular case, guys, what we are going to do here, first of all, we will say that overall number of instances, let us say we want to run 10 instances here. So we will say that only 3 instances, only 3 on-demand instances we want to run. And we want to run 7 as spot instances. So let us say if any of the instance out of these 7 goes down, we will be notified. If AWS or moreover, we can define it like this, that if we are running a spot instance, these are cheaper. So let us say my preferred instance type is C5.4x large. This is my preferred one. If this is not available, then I can opt more than one option here. What would happen in that particular case, guys? In that case, what is going to happen? I would opt, let us say C5.8x large. Then if it is not available, we can go with M5.4x large. I can opt multiple instance type here under on-demand section. Sorry, under spot instance. So how I'm going to be benefited out of it? So let us say even in any worst case scenario, if I need to pay for, so AWS prefers to launch that instance first, which comes with a very with the least price. For example, this costs $2, this costs $1, this costs $1.2 per hour. So AWS will prefer to launch this instance type. If this is not available, AWS will try to launch this one because this comes for 1.2. If this is not available, then AWS will launch this type of instance. But because when we are running the particular combination of on-demand and spot under any auto-scaling group, so our resources will be maintained. Moreover, let us say in any hypothetical situation, what happened? All the instances, whatever we defined, these are not available under my bidding range, right? In that case, at least 3 instances will be running there. These will be able to handle my traffic, maybe for a minute or 2, or maybe for 5. Then after, definitely I can go to my auto-scaling. As soon as number of instance will go down, we will definitely get notification. We can configure to get email, call, SMS, or whatever we want. We can definitely configure that. In that case, we can modify the particular on-demand range to maybe 7, and then after to this particular spot to 3, right? It means there will be stabilization. Maybe we can have 50-50, 70-30, 30-70, whatever ratio you want, because see, ideally there is no guarantee for spot instances. So that is why amount of spot instances has to be less, or the particular amount of like on-demand or savings plan has to be higher. But obviously we are going to get really cheaper instance, so we can definitely utilize in combination of spot and on-demand under any auto-scaling group. Are we clear with that, guys? Do you have any questions so far?
Is there any time period to be set in the spot instance?
So we cannot set any time period.
Oh. Then see, for example, I am using the spot instance. I'm using one server, EC2 instance, and maybe some other person has bid more than me, and he is going to get that EC2. So that guy must he might not be using for more period. Maybe I was going to use it for more period. So it is a loss for Amazon, right?
So let me tell you, it is not a loss for Amazon. There are a lot of people who are looking for spot instance because these are cheaper as well, right? So AWS wants to earn more and more money within the same time period. So that may be a particular loss for Amazon. But if you see, it could be possible that you were running the spot instance maybe for last 24 days. But right now, the new customer, AWS will definitely consider that this spot instance will be used by the same customer who is like new customer, maybe for a month and on higher price. So the another way that is depending on the matter of perception, that another way, if you see, that is a loss for customer, that is loss for Amazon. If Amazon allows you to use that instance for 24 cents, and another pay is paying 30 cents. So 6 cents per hour, Amazon is earning more than you. Where there is no agreement between you and Amazon, between another customer and Amazon. That way. So okay, guys, I just wanted to bring into your notice. So these are known as like purchasing options we have. I don't want to go with like, okay, over here you can define like current price is going to be this, AP South 1, South B, and maximum price, whatever you want, you can define here per dollar per hour, right? That way you can define your bid here. I am not going to do that. So guys, this is network. So network over here is known as VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. We will discuss about it very, very detailed. Every single component we are going to discuss of VPC. How do we create, what is subnet and everything we will discuss in detail. Then after subnet, so guys, keep this thing in mind, one subnet is equal to one data center. Or you can call that logical IP addresses, which are assigned to a VPC under different data center. For now, you can understand this thing. Later on, for sure, we will be discussing about it in detail. Now, AutoScaling public IP address, this says, if you want to enable public IP address, then definitely Amazon is going to do it for you by default. But if you want to disable it for any special case, then you have this ability to that no public IP address will be associated with this with this EC2 machine. Let us keep it enabled. Host name. So guys, this is a particular new feature. Earlier it was not enabled. It's been like approx 3 months, I must say so, because before 3 months I did not observe this particular like changes within Mumbai region. Earlier only IP name was available, but right now like resources name are also like available to be allocated to the resource which we are going to create.
So if somebody is going to ask in the interview, that is what is auto assigned public IP like option in the configuration instance detail, what I'm going to answer in that case.
So in that case, whenever we create an EC2 machine, obviously we will discuss in detail in tomorrow's session for this. You guys, please do not miss tomorrow's session. That is going to be really fantastic. So when we are talking about like EC2 machine, so whenever it is created, so it comes with two type of IP addresses. First of all, there is a private IP address that is associated with it. And guys, this sort of question comes into exam as well. Like EC2 machines, private IP address is considered to be primary IP address. Private IP address is considered as primary IP address, wherein public IP address is considered as secondary IP address. So two type of IP addresses can be associated. So that is completely optional. If you would like to like expose that particular machine over internet, then definitely you can assign that. If you want that to be restricted to your internal network, you want to access that EC2 machine over your VPN connection only, from your office infrastructure network only, then definitely there is no need to associate public IP address. So this auto assign public IP address can be disabled from your VPC section subnet option, or maybe from here itself. Then after like we have placement, we will discuss about it, domain, shutdown behavior. So guys, there are two options we will discuss in detail, but first of all, I would like to complete today's session. So shutdown behavior, guys, there are two. Usually people ask during interview, okay, what is the shutdown behavior you have in your organization? So guys, it is stop by default. We are never supposed to have terminate, because sometimes what happens, let us say for any unforeseen like circumstance, we have to stop the machine for a while. We have to reboot a machine for a while, sort of. In that case, machine will be terminated if we stop it. Right, guys?
So can you please come again? What is the shutdown behavior in AWS? What is the difference between stop and terminate?
If I set shutdown behavior as terminate, so for example, if I stop this machine later on, if I shut down this machine later on, then machine will be deleted automatically.
Okay.
Because shutdown behavior is terminate. If you stop it, for example, and what is the use case here? For example, you create multiple machines for testing purpose, right? And after that, you stop that machine. So for example, if you have created maybe 50 machines or maybe 10 machines you have created, every single machine comes with at least 8 GB of hard disk, one public IP address and others. Machines are stop state. Public IP addresses are already consumed, right? So if you stop, AWS will terminate it. But if knowingly you want to stop it, then definitely for production environment, it is recommended that behavior of any production machine should never be terminated. Right?
All right.
Okay. Shutdown behavior, hibernate, stop hibernate behavior. So guys, this is really good option which AWS provides. For example, you are running such a service. Let us say you are running in-memory database. For example, you are using Redis, Aerospike, maybe Elasticsearch, maybe Varnish, or any sort of service which stores the data onto RAM rather than storing data onto hard disk. It stores or it holds the data into RAM in order to serve customer faster. So if you want that before going for shutdown, your operating system should be writing the particular data or the particular amount of data which is kept on RAM right now onto a particular root disk device before shutting itself down. That is known as hibernate behavior. It means your RAM's data will be written onto disk. The condition here is that disk should be allocated on the root partition. Second thing, that disk should be encrypted. And for example, if your operating system has maybe 64 GB of RAM, then the particular root disk space volume has to be at least free, like up to 70 GB of disk space has to be free. Because at the time of reboot, your operating system will write the data onto root device, and at the time of startup, it will read the data from that device and clean up the space. So your RAM's content will be allocated or will be written or will be copied to your root volume at the shutdown time, and at a startup time, it will read the data once again from disk, and your machine will be up and running with all the available data which was stored before reboot into RAM. Are we clear with that?
Are there any extra charges for that?
Obviously, like if you allocate, let us say you are going to allocate 70 GB disk space just to ensure, let us say, like once in 6 months you reboot your machine, you have 64 GB of disk RAM available on your system. You will have to pay for 64 GB of RAM, 64 GB of disk every month.
Okay.
These are extra chargeable. Otherwise, for enabling this, there is no extra charge. But only the particular disk charges you will have to pay extra. Now, guys, this is the particular option, enable termination protection. So what does it mean? For example, if you want that any of new person joins in your organization and you ask that person to terminate any resource. So if the resource in development, then definitely we can try to recreate that. But if it is in production, that can hamper the public traffic, right? So ideally, this option has to be enabled in the real world environment, in real production environment, because whenever we create any machine, we always want that machine should not get deleted accidentally. So for that accidental deletion, we enable this option. Yes, this can be enabled or disabled later on as well, post creation of EC2 machine. But guys, keep this thing in mind. Whenever we are working this particular option, so this option says this has to be enabled within production environment. Are we clear with that? Now, this question comes into exam. I'm going to disable it. This question comes into exam. What is default and detailed monitoring time span in AWS? So guys, whenever we talk about AWS monitoring, so AWS does monitoring for free, but the particular alert and the monitoring time span is 5 minutes. For example, if any of your service goes down and you are being notified after 5 minutes, will it be of any use? Yes, guys. Will it be of any use if you are getting alert after 5 minutes of downtime?
No.
No? Yes, you are right. That will be of no use. That is why AWS says that pay us extra and we will monitor it for you every minute. So detailed monitoring like time span is 1 minute and default monitoring is for 5 minutes. So if you want to monitor your resources which are running in AWS with the help of AWS CloudWatch, you will have to pay extra. For every single read, write, every single call, every single API, whatever it is, CloudWatch is going to monitor. Guys, please mute yourself if not speaking. Otherwise, I'll have to use my veto power. Okay, not a problem. So yes, guys, this is the way. This is how it works, right, guys? Otherwise, there are some extra options available. You can define your primary IP address, whatever IP address if you want. You can define that. You can add multiple IP addresses, right? That way. We will discuss in detail. Even we are going to see this thing in practical manner tomorrow. So the particular root volume, guys, before a moment, I was talking about that has to be associated on root volume. So this device size has to be not only 10 GB, but let us say if you have maybe 64 GB as RAM allocated to your EC2 machine, and if you want to enable that hibernate option, then this has to be at least 100 GB. Why it is so? Because first of all, operating system will be loaded onto it. Then after that, like some of the space has to be kept free. If you reboot, then 64 GB RAM's data will be returned to this particular disk. And moreover, guys, this has to be encrypted. If this is not encrypted, EBS will like that hibernate option will not be enabled. Are we clear with that? Tags. This is really interesting, guys. So guys, why do we add tags here? Yes, guys, what is use case of adding tags?
For the naming purpose.
Okay, anything else? Yes, for sure.
To understand the machine, why the machine is created or the purpose of the machine.
Okay, so we can define here, let us say a Linux box, that is the name of it. And let us say, okay, let me tell you the real-time use cases. Tags are not only used for identification of any machine, but the real use case here is, for example, let me define the tags first, then after I will tell you. First of all, name, Linux box, OS, RHEL, state, environment is going to be prod, right? Team is going to be DevOps. Then after, software is going to be Jenkins. Then after, server owner is going to be Lokendra, and any other tag if you want. Let us say why I'm defining all these things. So I'm defining because let us say if someone says, okay, then how many servers are created for DevOps team across the environment? How will I do? I will run a command on obviously on AWS CLI, wherein I will define the team as DevOps, and all the instance will be appearing up there. Moreover, if there's a requirement, for example, team is not DevOps, team is maybe like, let us say dev, like dev team, right? Now, any dev teams or server is running into production environment. Now I want to know that how many servers are there which are running, which are allocated for dev team into production environment and running on RHEL 8, and what is the cost of it? So I can use these particular keys and these particular values to determine the particular cost of all resources which are allocated for any team, for any environment, for any specific operating system, right? So that way, like if I have to figure out the particular cost which is per vertical manager, per product manager, that way we can figure out like how much revenue they are generating and how much we are paying for the resources within that particular vertical. So not only for like name identification, but yes, for cost allocation tag, we can consume this sort of naming convention there. Are we clear with that, guys?
Yes.
Okay. So guys, this is very, very important thing which we are going to do right now. First of all, we need to understand like Linux box demo. This is going to be the security group name. Even description is going to be same. Okay, good. So guys, first of all, we need to understand that why we are going to create this machine. Are we going to use this as DNS server, web server, FTP server, like what? So first of all, I need to ensure that SSH port number should be allowed from my IP address only, not to public. SSH should never be allowed from internet, from public. They should be allowed either from your jump host, right? Guys, just a moment, guys. Yes, guys. So we have identified this one, right? Then after we will allow port number for maybe HTTP from anywhere, because obviously we never know where from we are going to HTTP from public. Obviously we will whitelist port number for HTTPS as well. This will also allow where we are going to allow it from anywhere, because we never know that what is the customer IP address. Right, guys? So description, port number, and this thing has to be very, very taken carefully, or maybe we can define a customer IP address. Okay, let me define here first of all my IP. I will copy this. I will take into custom this, comma. Let us say there is one another IP address. Let us say 12.12.12.12 slash let us say 24 or whatever. So this particular IP address will be whitelisted. This is my, for example, this is my office VPN IP address where from I would like to connect to the server. This way I can assign multiple custom IP address range here, or moreover, I can define any individual IP address here. So like this, we whitelist the particular port, because by default, all incoming traffic is blocked on an EC2 machine. We have to explicitly white the particular port numbers from our IP address, or from any specific range, maybe from IP from our offices or like that. Moreover, let us say if there's a requirement, for example, in real world, what happens, for example, if there's a person working from home today, person says that I am not available in office and I have my IP address, let us say 126.64.22. Let us say 87 slash 32, whatever. So this is the custom IP address for SSH. Let us say home IP, let's say Lokendra, temp, delete on, let us say next day, 10th. Why did I mention like that, guys? Because this is Lokendra's home public IP address, and this should be deleted on 10. So let us say if someone is going to observe this particular group and find it that it is 10th of April today, so the person will log into it and will delete it. It means the very next day when Lokendra should be allowed to access this, the person has to take approval the very next day as well. Are we clear with that? Like the particular real-time use case of allowing any port number to security group? Yes, guys. Good. Now these are the particular details here, like these are particular port number, like where from we have whitelisted, the particular tags, everything is available, OS, environment, team, software, server owner, everything. Right. Now, guys, whenever we are trying to launch the machine, so in order to log into that machine, we need three things. Either we need a username or password, or we need a key pair, or either the server must be running without username and without password for any user, right? So choose an existing key pair. If I already have a key, I can choose that one. If I want to create a new key pair, I'm allowed to do so as well. Create a new key pair. I will give a name, maybe AWS batch. I will download it, and guys, keep this thing in mind. You have to download the private key pair before you continue. Store it in secure and accessible place. You will not be able to download the file again after it's created. This is a complete information and warning as well, that if you once download it, you shall not be allowed to re-download it. And until unless you download the key, this option will not get highlighted for you. That is it. The instance is getting created and we are good to go.
Lokendra, sorry to disturb you here.
Not a problem.
The key which you said to creating the new key, it is the same. We need to distribute in a team if there are many members in the team.
Okay, very good. Interesting question. So guys, ideally, this key has to be kept very, very safe. only 3 users in an organization should have access to this. Maybe the particular CT or CIO in your organization, the very first person. Second person, the head of security team, and the head of governance team. Only these 3 users should have access to this keys. Second thing, whosoever has to access these servers, obviously like we are going to create this server as demo, right? Then after we will configure it, we will configure this server for all the users who are supposed to have access to this EC2 machine. We will create AMI out of it. We will create a template out of it. That template will contain the usernames and the particular users individual SSH keys to log into this server. Those users will log into these servers with their personal keys, with their personal laptops or desktop keys, not with this particular keys which we have created and which we have associated with this server. The private key has to be secured with only limited guys, and you guys will be logging to the server with your own keys. Are we clear with that?
Yes.
Because
so after this creating this machine, we need to create AMI as well, right? And
so
then
first of all, we will log into this
and
machine. Let us say first of all we will log into this machine. After logging into this machine, okay, okay, this is done. Okay, so guys, I'll say yes. The very first error message which we got, because the keys are too open, chmod 400 AWS batch.pam. So guys, if your keys are unprotected, or your keys are editable or are able to be read by anyone on the operating system, then you will not be allowed to use those keys to access to any server. Right guys, I'm logging to this server now. What will I do? Let us say user add, maybe Ajay. User add, let us say Ajit. User add, let us say Ayush or whatever. Ayushi as well. So we need to add multiple users. Users are created over here. We will ask individual users to share their private key. Right? If I talk about my key, if you want to see that, obviously I will not show you. I'll show you only the path.ssh. Under this particular, there is a particular file available for me. This is my private key. And this is very, very secure. Read writable only by user lock-in round. Are we clear with that, guys? So guys, now it is your time. It is your turn to share your feedback, your questions, or anything. How did you find this particular batch? Informative or just time pass or like what? I would love to hear your feedback.
Lakendra, one question here.
Please go ahead.
Why you have two IPs for an instance?
Two IPs for an instance. You mean to say public and private both?
Yes, yes.
Great. Oh, my bad. I'm logging to my local machine. Let me perform this practical for you. In a nutshell, like if you would like to understand the theoretical section till the time. So for example, if I have to host a website and website has to be accessible over internet, so I need to have a public IP address over it. Right? Second thing, if I want that server to be quite secure and private, then in that case, guys, what is going to happen? We would like to have the particular server to be enabled with private IP address only. Like this. So where HTML. I will copy the public IP address from here. I'll paste in that IP address here, and that is it. This is for testing. So if I paste any private IP address here, so that will not allow me to access the content from that server over internet.
Okay, so how the private IP is assigned on what basis? So it won't change, like since it is the cloud has all the devices like on-prem. So on what basis the public private IP is assigned?
Okay, so for that, if you want to know about basis, so every single account has a component known as VPC. Inside that VPC, we define static IP addresses here. From those static IP address range, we assign one private IP address like automatically to our EC2 machines, and this happens with this particular service, which is known as DSCP option set. Right? That okay. This is the particular.
Okay, yeah, that I got it. Okay, then on what basis public IP is assigned?
These are like there's a particular IP address pool assigned by AWS itself. Whenever we need one public IP address, so that is assigned to our EC2 machine directly. As and when we terminate the machine, that IP address gets released, and that is once again resubmitted to AWS pool. That way.
Okay, that like pool is giving like anything they're deciding, that's what is like confusing, because if you're stopping or terminating that sorry, stopping means private IP remains the same, but public is getting a bit changed.
I got it. So see, that will be depending on your requirement. For example, if you want to have public IP address, that will be static, but for that you will have to create one elastic IP address. You will create one elastic IP address. You will assign that elastic IP address with EC2 machine. That will never ever get changed till the time you unassign that particular IP address from the machine or you terminate the instance. Second thing, private IP address cannot be changed. Private IP address is static IP address with an EC2 machine. Public IP address is dynamic, but if you want that to be static, then elastic IP address mechanism will be used here.
Okay, so can we assign two private IP to an instance?
No. So at a moment, you will assign only one public IP address. As soon as you will assign elastic IP address to one EC2 machine, so IP address will get changed and that will remain permanent. So that practically, yes, we are going to see that
not possible.
Yeah, it is possible. You can associate two network interface. So let us say if you talk about here ENI, like network interfaces, you can create another network interface. You can assign one more IP address there. That is quite possible.
Okay, and now just now I saw the option when you're saying that from primary IP, it was one option was there in the instance creation page. So where you can select the VPC, all this. You just show like you can assign the primary IP. So what that does mean? Actually, I didn't get that.
So that primary IP stands for your private IP address is primary IP address.
Okay, if you are going to assign primary, so that will be the fix. Then it will not take from the VPC, even from outer VPC also we can give that any primary IP.
Yeah. So see, like when you are talking about the private IP address assignment, so over here there are two ways. Either you can assign automatically, or you already know the private IP address range of that subnet. You can define that custom as well.
Okay, in the customized one, it's like if the range is outside VPC, will that allow to assign?
So that IP address must belong to the particular range of that subnet, which we were seeing under like VPC.
Okay.
For example, my subnet range there is 172.31. Let us say 48.x. So over here, I cannot assign, let us say 10.0.1. Let us say 11. I cannot assign that IP address here. That custom IP address has to be
within the range.
Yeah, from the particular like subnet range. That way.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So guys, thank you for attending this. We will see tomorrow at the same time with same person. Then definitely would love to hear anything from your side about feedback. Thanks for session. It was great. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so very much, guys. If it was informative, then definitely like it is worth joining, continuing. Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow. I'll upload the recording to YouTube and will share with you all.
Lokendra, one last question.
Please go ahead.
Can you show us the kind of jobs that we would be applying after completion of the course?
So any job related to AWS, that is going to be AWS administrator, that is going to be SysOps, that is going to be sort of AWS DevOps, you will be able to apply. And let me tell you one more thing, AWS and Linux has a really deadly combination. If you know Linux and you are going to learn AWS, and one more thing, guys, I would have to ensure after completion of this course, you will have that amount of knowledge. But for sure, you will have to work at least 70% of that much, which I'm going to teach. If you remember 70% of things, you will be able to prove that you have been working on AWS for last 4 to 5 years.
Sir, hello, Lokendra sir.
Yes, please.